Hello bros, how are we all doing? And this isn't me, by the way. I'm actually down here. So I'm going to be starting a new YouTube series where I'm going to be compiling a list of indie game studios that you shouldn't work for. And my intention with this is to prevent people from getting taken advantage of, because that's what I'm so sick of seeing, especially a lot of younger devs who are getting into the industry. There is just so many ways you can get screwed over nowadays. And if you do ultimately decide to work for studios like this, at least you can kind of know what you're getting yourself into. So this video will be on Ebru Studios. And if you're already a part of this studio, just please try to have an open mind. And just a heads up, I've already watched this video multiple times and I've spotted so many red flags, it's not even funny. So first impressions without even watching the video, you'll see that it's done quite well in the algorithm. You know, you got 8,700 views, 557 likes, and heaps of comments from people that are excited for this studio and just like people that are interested, right? Which is super interesting because like there's so many red flags here. So let's just start.
Hello everyone, I have some big news to share, so let me get right into it. I have started my own game studio as I've decided that I want to make my own video games. That's why I'll be hiring, so it could be one of you. So be sure to watch until the very end for all the details, especially if you end up watching this video many months after it's published. In case you're new here and this is your first time stumbling upon my channel, let me introduce myself. I'm Newman and I'm a full-time Microsoft employee. I work on the business side of things under Azure, and
I must say, Newman, like very impressive. Like that's a very prestigious job working at Microsoft. And I'm sure that would pay extremely well. So I showed my mate this video and he works at Amazon as a software engineer. And I asked him, how much do you think this guy's getting paid? And he said at very bare minimum, $200,000 to $300,000 per year. Like pretty insane.
professionally wear multiple hats, mostly revolving around BI, data engineering, and data science, and nothing related to the Xbox or gaming division. I've been running this
And this is the biggest trap that I see with people making their own game studios, is that they try to run before they can walk. He's trying to do this without any prior experience, you know, not even doing a couple of game jams beforehand just to learn how the whole game making process works. None of that, just going straight into the deep end, no experience.
channel along another one for a little while now, and recently I figured I wanted to do more than just videos about video games. I actually want to try making one myself. I have some of my own money saved up, and I figure this type of decision will get progressively more difficult to make as the years pass on. So, the time is now. If you're a long-time Age of Noob viewer, don't worry. As I mentioned in my previous update video, I'll continue to upload the occasional video, likely similar to the last video that I made about the evolution of towers.
And just for people who are curious, he runs this other channel too, 43,000 subs, and you know, he gets quite a few views, you know. Some videos do really well. Here you can see 300,000 views. So he's going to be juggling his full-time Microsoft job, this channel, and running a studio at the same time. Like, it just feels like he's stretching himself way too thin. You know, unless he plans to work 80-hour work weeks, and I guess, you know, if he can do it, he can do it. But it just doesn't feel right to me.
So Age of Noob should remain as is. That said, as I make progress on the game, I'll definitely bring it up here every now and then, probably to get opinions or maybe even some playtesting from you folks, if you're up for it. As for Game Noob, I'm putting it on an indefinite pause again. There's absolutely no way I can do my full-time role, run 2 channels, and develop a full video game all at the same time.
Shouldn't even be trying to do, you know, 3 things at the same time. At least he's smart enough to know that he can't do all 4, but even just doing 3 of those at the same time is a massive ask.
Without some or all of them suffering. So for now, I'll post the occasional Age of Noob video and focus on my job and my game studio. Speaking of which, it is called Ebru Studios. Its name serves as a nod to the traditional Turkish art form. I have started a new YouTube channel for Ebru Studios to hopefully build up an organic audience through dev diaries and updates on the game. I'd really appreciate it if you folks head over there and subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date on the progress. With that in mind, I obviously need to be very realistic to make sure this is sustainable, and ideally something I can grow into a proper studio that can eventually sustain the livelihood of its members, excluding myself. Maybe eventually including myself as well someday, but for now, my goal is to break even and pay my team. I am well aware on how saturated the market is, so breaking even on our first game will be a massive success as far as I'm concerned. For that reason, I'll likely start with a 2D game. I actually have an idea each for both a 2D game and a 3D game, but 3D games are usually tougher to implement, especially for a first time. But it really depends on who I meet, right? If the stars somehow align and I can find a core group of people who are capable of bringing the 3D game I've envisioned to life, then maybe we'll start with that. Maybe there are great 3D artists and Unreal Engine experts watching this video.
I'm sorry, but a good leader would have already decided on what game they want to make, like whether it's 2D, 3D, or what game engine they want to use. It's incredibly easy to find the talent that you need, but obviously he doesn't know this because he hasn't done the research.
Would like to join on the project. Or perhaps there are more Unity developers and 2D artists and animators in the audience, and we end up building a 2D game instead. So this will partially depend on who's watching as well, I suppose. Alright, with that out of the way, let's talk about what I mean by hiring. Full transparency, I'm of course nowhere near being in a position to sustain paying full-time employees at my game studio. Definitely not at this stage. So the folks who will be joining me will be most likely working on a contract basis or receiving milestone-based payments rather than being actual employees.
Yep, it's all starting to unravel. And this is what I mean. This is a way that a lot of developers get taken advantage of by doing these contract or milestone-based payments, right? It's just a way that this guy can pay you less than the minimum wage for what you're working. It's putting that road there. And I don't think this guy is like evil. I don't think he's actually trying to take advantage of people. It's more of the road to hell is paved with good intentions type thing. It's just not... It's just, you got to be really careful as a younger dev who is very inexperienced and doesn't know any better, because you're going to be working for this guy for probably less than, working at a coffee shop or a retail store.
Eventually, I'd of course love to get to a place where we ship a successful game and I can bring people on full time. But for now, being realistic, we're likely going to have to stick with this type of engagement. Okay, so who am I looking for? First, the must-haves. The group of folks who I will be paying and will work significant hours on the game. For the two...
You need to, you can't say stuff like that you want to be transparent and then not define what significant hours means. What does that even mean? Does that mean 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week? How are we supposed to know if this is a good deal for us or not? It's just, there's a lot of ambiguity here and it's not a good thing.
For 2.5D game, I'm looking for game developers who are experienced in Unity, Godot, or Game Maker. You'll be closely working with me and everyone else to bring our ideas to life in the game engine. I'm also looking for talented 2D artists to draw the game's characters, environments, and asset layers. You'll of course be working closely with me as we'll work on the art direction together. I'll need 2D animators or riggers to handle...
And this is another problem. Why are we looking for 2D animators and riggers so early in the pipeline? So early. There's no need to get these people, especially you're still clearly in the pre-production stage. This guy's priorities are all wrong. He doesn't actually know how games are made. This type of work comes way further down the pipeline, way further down. And you'll see with the next jobs, just take a look at the next
character
jobs.
And asset animations, whether through frame-by-frame animation, rig-based systems, or tools like Spine, Dragon Bones, or Unity's animation features. I'll need a composer/music producer to create...
Very unnecessary at the start of the project. I get that some developers, want to have that initial track to be used as inspiration to kind of set the vibe of the game. But you don't need that done. You can just find something, even if it's not royalty free, just find a track that you really like and use that as the initial inspiration. There's no need to hire a composer or a music producer so early on.
The original soundtrack and music for the game. And finally, I will need voice actors as well.
And this one's even worse. Voice actors should be the last thing that gets done in the game. One of the last things. So you shouldn't even be looking to hire them. Also, how are you going to hire a voice actor if you don't have a writer? If you don't have someone writing the voice lines, unless maybe you're going to do it? I don't fucking know.
Depending on the scope of the game, I will either need certain voice actors to bring characters to life, or for much simpler NPCs with very few lines, perhaps folks who have good microphones who are willing to volunteer to voice a few lines here and there are also welcome.
And he's hiring way too many people anyway. We do realize the more people that he hires, it means individually the devs get paid less because he has to spread himself thinner, right? And the problem with this is it leads to him running out of money and stopping the studio altogether, or it leads to volunteer farming, which... And what I mean by volunteer farming is you just grab as many volunteers as you can working for free to complete the project for you. And that's just one of the biggest ways that so many younger devs are getting screwed over. They're working for free. They're all working for free, and it doesn't give them any benefit at the end. This guy isn't providing an educational service. He's not a university. right? So I really hope he's seen a lawyer because, if you start getting people on, like it says here, optional and volunteer roles, which we're going to go into, like this is really sketchy grounds that he's treading. I really hope that this guy has seen a lawyer because you can get in massive trouble for this, like huge, huge legal ramifications. Generally, I hate volunteer stuff anyway. Really, the only time I think it's appropriate is for like non-profits, helping society, like soup kitchens, hospitals, fire brigades. That to me seems like it's fair for, for people to volunteer the time. But for just a random startup game studio, it's not a good trade for you.
Apart from those 5, there are also a few optional roles that can add value to the project. These are the folks who are expected to work on the smaller portions of the game and perhaps other miscellaneous things here and there. Working with me, a sound designer.
He says that, but that's what he truly wants. And I'm going to prove it. Look, if we scroll down to the comments here. So he says in a comment, edit, August 21st. Thank you for the overwhelming interest. I have finished building my team. 19 of us. He hired 19 people when initially he only wanted to hire 3 or 4 and maybe 3 or 4 volunteers. It went from, less than 10 to 19. And this is what I mean. This is just volunteer farming. And this guy should be truly ashamed of himself. There's no way he's going to be paying 19 developers. He goes from I can't pay anyone full time to I'm going to be paying 19. No, I don't think so. This guy would have been far better off hiring 2 to 3 full-time devs. 2 to 3 full-time devs that have a range of skills. You get one programmer who can handle all the, programming side. You get one 3D artist / level designer who can, do all the art and make all the levels, right? And then you can maybe hire one other person to, help out with both. Or you don't even need that person. Just hire 2 people then. 2 people would have been perfect. And, it would have been far easier for him to manage. But how is this guy with no experience, no experience doing a game studio, going to manage 19 people? And if we look in the replies here, and look at what this guy said. Can you give us a tentative date as to when we can expect a response? I have been checking for a response every day. This is someone that did the Google application form. And then he says, thank you for your patience. There have been 720 plus applications. The job market's so fucked, bro. Man, the supply and demand is so fucked. 720 people plus applied to these jobs, right? Applied for these jobs. And what's the bet? How many of these asked to be volunteers? Even at 5%, you're still looking at about 40 people. And it's no way it's going to be 5%. There's so many comments, right, of people saying that they would love to work even for free, right? So many comments. Just applied for voice acting and maybe translation if needed. I am doing it voluntarily. Don't need money. I think I could spend 5 to 10 hours a week, depending on how much you need me in the first place. I'm not a professional. Kian's 8817, you are better than this. Why are we dropping the bar so low? It's so bad. It's a race to the fucking bottom. And then this one by E. Michael 4200. You need noob volunteers. I recently started Unity as a side hobby to my ML journey. I really want to be a part of something. Don't even need the money. You guys are better than this, man. The fact that we get people like this is what ends up corrupting people like these. Why would he ever need to pay anyone appropriately when he can just find, 5 to 10 of that guy, right? And just make a game off that. It's taking advantage of people. So many devs need to fucking wake up. It's not funny. Wake the fuck up.
Designer or an audio engineer can assist with sound effects, mixing, and mastering. A 2D VFX artist can create visual effects to support gameplay clarity, and a level designer can assist with the layout, pacing, and...
This should be a more important role than a volunteer. So he doesn't even understand that level design is really, really important. The artist should be able to do this role as well. You need to find someone, you need to pay someone that can do both the art and level design, which there's plenty of. There's plenty of those people that can do both of those. This guy doesn't understand that a level designer shouldn't be a volunteer role. This is one of the most important roles of any game studio.
Flow across the game's environments. If we end up going with the 3D game instead, some roles will of course shift. I'll need an Unreal Engine developer instead of the other ones, of course, a 3D artist for modeling and texturing the environments, props, and characters, and a 3D animator for rigging and animation. The optional roles will remain the same, though I will likely need more voice acting help than a 2D game. So if you're interested in joining me in this journey, please fill out the form linked below. I'll review your experience, portfolio, availability, and payment expectations
We'll look at
and make
that at the end
decisions
of the
accordingly.
video.
Please be as detailed as possible so I can make informed decisions, and make sure you read each part carefully as I clarify each section. Also, and this part is not that important, but if there's anyone in the audience who would like to volunteer building a simple website for us, please also fill out the form. At least
More volunteer farming. Again, this is what this guy wants. This is, he's being corrupted by this volunteer thing. You know, I could easily do the same thing. You know, I can release my own video. I can release the exact same video and get me 720 applications too. It's just fucking, like, it's just ridiculous that the games industry has allowed this crap to fester. It's so fucking dog shit. He should be ashamed of himself. And I can already hear the counter argument. Oh, Spolata bros, you know, you shouldn't talk this much shit. At least Ebru Studios are hiring people. You guys aren't hiring anyone, so what gives you the right to speak like that? Well, what this guy's doing isn't a net positive, right? Just because I'm not hiring myself yet. Like I said before, we're trying to walk before we can run. You know, this guy's trying to run. You know, he's limping and he's going to fall over. Like, we're trying to walk. You know, we're neutral right now. We're at 0, you know. This guy's at -2. It's not a positive what this guy's doing. It's actually a slight negative. And one day I will start my own studio and I'm going to do it fucking right.
something very simple that will serve as a landing page for now. And finally, if you don't fit into any of these, then you can still support me by sharing the word to friends and family or other internet mediums that you frequent. The broader the audience, the higher likelihood that I'll find the right people. My goal is to build a team that's both realistic and sustainable, one that allows us to actually finish and ship a game without running out of money. Given that I'm funding this project fully out of my own pocket, I want to be transparent about what I can offer. I'm committed to making sure this is a fair and respectful engagement for everyone involved, as I want to build something meaningful together without anyone feeling undervalued or overworked. So, in full transparency, it is likely that quite a few of you will be too expensive for me to onboard.
No, don't dodge it. Give us your budget. I mean, the best thing you could do here, if you wanted to actually be transparent, give us your budget. How much money do you have to run this thing? You know, because at least that will tell people, you know, whether or not it's feasible to apply and sink their time into this. Like you say, you can't afford most people, and then you end up hiring 19 fucking people. I mean, which one is it? I don't understand. You're very contradictory. You could keep going against your word.
But I still recommend you to go ahead and fill out the form nevertheless, as we may be able to figure certain things out. That said, if you're a student in a university or college who's looking to gain some experience and grow your skills, whether it's in arts, animation, development, or any other area that I've mentioned, please don't hesitate to apply.
If that's you, do not do that. That is just a bad move and on every front. It's a bad business move and it's a bad career move. Just do not work for this guy for free. It is not worth it. You know, it's not going to make a difference to your resume at the end of the day. And the experience that you get, this guy isn't a good leader. He's not experienced on game making. What are you going to learn from him? You know, at best, maybe you can learn from the other people on the team, but you don't need to join this project to do stuff like that. Do some game jams. Game jams are fucking amazing. There's so many millions of free ones, and there's so many people who are willing to collab. At least then you can build the project. You know, you can build your project. You're not building this guy's dream. Right? He shouldn't even be trying to make his dream game for his first project, you know? Like, it shouldn't even be like that. This guy has no experience and you're not going to learn very much from him.
Depending on the circumstances, I can bring you on in a volunteer capacity or even explore paid opportunities wherever
He wants you as a volunteer. That's all this is. It's a volunteer farm.
Feasible. So whoever you are, wherever you're from, if you're interested, please fill out the form. Barring some anomaly, I promise to get back to each and every one of you with a response. And finally, as for what you can expect when working with me, here are a few key things. First, and this is something that's ironically missing in many workplaces, I treat people, as human beings. That's always my starting point. Second, my mentality throughout my career has always about getting shit done. I don't care how many hours you work or where you work from. There's no micromanagement. What matters is whether you are reliable, respond in a reasonable time, and deliver on deadlines. If the answer is yes, I'll give you the space to do your thing. And
if you're a volunteer and he's requiring that from you, then I think that's illegal, boys. I honestly think that's illegal. Again, hope you've seen a lawyer, because I don't think you can do that. You can't enforce minimum work schedules and deadlines for people that you aren't paying. Pretty sure about that.
So the expectations are rooted in responsibility. As long as you deliver quality work on time, however,
And even for those who are getting paid, if you're getting these contract milestone-based payments, you're probably going to have to work more hours than what that's worth. You're going to get paid less than a barista at Starbucks earning minimum wage.
where you work is up to you. Third, I'm very organized and I don't run projects with ambiguity. This means that you'll always have clear goals, objectives, and timelines. There
You don't even know what game you want to make or what engine. How can you? It's so contradictory. How can you say that you're so organized when you not have zero organization on what you want to do in this game? It doesn't make any sense.
will be room for creativity and flexibility where
This guy's a
appropriate,
joke.
but you won't be left feeling lost or directionless. And of course, I'll be available if you need to ask questions or get some further clarity. So really, the only things that I ask are be respectful to me and your teammates and get your work done on time. If you do that, we won't have any problems. On the flip side, you can count on me for direction, support, troubleshooting, and help securing tools or software when needed, budget permitting. While of course there are financial constraints like I mentioned, make no mistake, I'm very serious about this project. I'll be actively overseeing everyone to make sure that we
There shouldn't be budget constraints. I get people, you want to start your own business and stuff, but why couldn't he wait, another 2 to 3 more years? Save for that extra. He's working at Microsoft. He's making big fucking bucks. Save for 2 to 3 more years and then try to attempt a project like this. That way he could hire, 2 or 3 full-time devs and he'll have a much smaller team of just them 3 or 4. It's just so much easier to run a small team, but yet he's starting with a 19-member team from the get-go. It's not a good strategy. This business is set to fail, and you, unfortunately, Newman at Ebru Studios, likely you're going to fail because of this.
stay on track, on time, and on budget. I have quite a bit of experience doing just that throughout my career, and I want to work with people that I can genuinely rely on. Finally, for those of you who stumble upon this video many months after I have published it, you can still go ahead and fill out the form and send me an email stating that you have filled it out and are interested in joining the team. I'll do my best to review
Why do we have to send an email after we filled the form? Don't you see it?
it and get back to you accordingly. I'm really excited to get started on this journey, and I'm grateful that I have an audience that I can talk to, get help from, and hopefully build something awesome together. So, as always, thank you so much for your support, and I hope to hear back from you folks very soon. Till next time.
Let's have a quick look at that form. Thank you for considering joining me on this journey. In full transparency, I've already formed my team. However, fill out the form. All right, so if we go next, right? So they want full name, email address. This is just blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to skip this. You can choose the roles that you want to apply for. Fair enough. You can pick your top choice. You give them a little background on where you're from. What kind of experience do you have? What level you can say how you feel, which, okay, whatever. He wants to know more about the artists and animators. Fair enough. What games that he wants to make. So I guess these might be his inspirations. Cuphead, Metal Slug, Hollow Knight, Dead Cells. Fair enough. Which game engine you want to use? Microsoft Excel. You can make games on Microsoft Excel? Is that, someone write in the comments, is that a thing? I don't think that's a thing. I honestly think that's a mistake, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe, is there such a thing as Microsoft Excel games? Is that actually a thing? No. Tetris wasn't made on Excel. Was it? I don't know. Someone has to help me out on that one. So if we go next to page 5, you can select your current availability. And then here's the interesting one. So please read the options below and pick what suits you best. A, I am interested in a major role in the team and expect to be paid for my work. This will be the primary or one of the primary parts of my work life. So there's that. There's B, I am interested in any capacity in the team and I expect to be paid for my work. I'll have to carve out time from my schedule. Okay, well that doesn't make any sense because he's really only interested in people that want to do a major role and be paid, and the people who are going to volunteer, which is option C. I'm interested in volunteering my time and expertise, but only for minor things that won't take much time to complete. Yeah, I'm sure. Such as a consultation meeting, voice acting, a few short lines, help with small miscellaneous things. Yeah, but level designer, yeah, that's such a small minor thing, right? It's a fucking joke. What is your standard hourly / per project per milestone rates? He's already not interested in paying hourly. I don't know why he would be interested, like write this down, maybe just to weird you out instantly to see, oh, this guy, if he's charging like $10 an hour, there's no chance I'm going to get him to do my, $1,000 milestone rate, but he's got to work like 3 months, If you were never paid for your work before, you can still provide an estimate on what you expect to be paid, whatever. If I cannot afford your rate indicated above, would you still like to, this is what I mean. He's already setting the precedence that he can't afford you. So he's trying to get you to lowball yourself. This is just typical begging to get you to lowball yourself. Would you still like to be contacted for alternate agreements? In other words, perhaps you can deliver in a much longer timeline, reduce the complexity of your work. Are you open to profit sharing models? He said nothing about that in the fucking thing. Nothing about profit sharing. It was just either you work and you get paid, which probably is below minimum wage, or you're a volunteer. No, I'm strict. Yeah, and that's blah blah. You pretty much, if you write this and you write that you want $10 an hour, you're getting ghosted, right? And if selected, how soon can you begin working? And that's pretty much it. And then use the text field below to share anything else I might need to know about you, why you'd like to join my team, or anything else. You're basically just asking for a gas up here. The only answer you should put here is to blow smoke up his ass, because that's what he wants. Why you'd like to join my team? Get fucked. Like, it's just a bunch of bullshit. So yeah, anyways. So yeah, in short, this is not the place to work. This is riddled with so many red flags. And as the studio currently stands, it's doomed to fail. And don't be fooled. Like it's funny because ironically, this guy he's very charming in the way he talks, and also the music behind it also gives off that, calm mood, right? You're very charming, Newman, but you reek of naivety. And you're kind of relying on all the people that you're hiring to be naive too. And it's just really, really sad because, like I said before, I don't think you're inherently bad or inherently evil, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think that's what this is. This is the road to hell. So many people are going to get taken advantage of, and I honestly feel really bad for them. It's at such a sad state that the industry is in, that a guy like this gets so much positive retention. We got 18 dislikes here. If I make it 19, that's the 19 people of the team, Maybe the majority of those dislikes are the people that are working for him. But in all seriousness, if you're working for this guy, I'd love to hear back from you. And actually, that goes for you, Newman, too. If you're listening right now, I'm extending an invite for us to have a chat together. I want to find out more. I want to know what you think of this video, and I want to hear clarification, because to me, it didn't feel like what you're doing is transparent, despite you saying that. And I guess that's the end of the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you haven't already. And I'm going to make myself busy looking for more studios like this that are just littered with red flags. And ironically, the way that things are, it's not going to take me very long to do that. So yeah, thank you very much and goodbye. Got something to expose? Call the Spillato Bros.